Have a good morning, fellow Toastmasters and Green Toastmasters members and also visiting guests. It is my pleasure for being here to be able to share with you all today about the speech organization. And first of all, I would like to give my utmost appreciation to Green Toastmasters Club, especially Burona, for having me here to share with all of you regarding how to create and also how to conduct, at least how to deliver a speech that is really memorable. And because of that, we are dealing with how to organize a speech that is truly remarkable and also memorable. Let me share a bit about how this speech organization that will elevate your speech in order to make it concise, but also heartwarming at the same time. And now, why is it relevant to all of us here, especially in Toastmasters program? But I believe that it is not all just applicable on Toastmasters program, but on a daily basis. Let's say that you are doing sort of presentation in your workplace or you're doing something important with regard to your career, for example. This speech organization will help you to solve the issues, whether or not what kind of messages that you'd like to deliver and how would you like your audience to get grasp the ideas of your messages. And this is really important. And why, why organization matters? Because with regard to the relevance to Toastmasters, organization is actually the foundation of effective communication. And even if that you already have such compelling message and with the strong content, it will fail without the structure. Let's put it this way. You already take down some notes regarding what kind of important issues that you'd like to deliver or you'd like to convey, but without a very well organized structure, your audience will not be able to capture or encapsulate the message that you are going to deliver. And that is why you need to be aware of the organization, about your speech, about your content. And this is exactly why attention getter also matters, because you can always choose whether or not you'd like to make it like a short speech using some anecdotes, for example, or some short storylines of yourself, of or of others, for example, or you can always use a story that really resemble your stories or your speech. Listening to speaker with great ideas sometimes good, but with confusing structure, it will make them lost in between. Contrast to a well-organized speech that feels effortless to follow. It will help and it will guide your audience also to understand your message better. And some deliveries that I would like to emphasize here. This is a thesis statement that I think it will be very beneficial for each and every one of us to capture the message of it, that an effective speech is built on logical order, clear connections, and a simple three-part structure that I believe Toastmasters program has also introduced us in this way. You need to have the opening, the body, and also the conclusion. Let's put it this way and let's dive deeper. We need to understand about the clear connection between ideas because this is an important stage prior to enter the opening, body, and also closing. What does it mean? The ideas is something that we need to connect and we need to make the audience also understand the bridging gap between those ideas. And a clear connection means that the audience always understands where you are now, where you are going next, and why this next idea matters. Because whenever we try to deliver a speech, whenever we try to share a story, obviously we have come up with different sub themes or different bullets in our brain or our mind. And it is very important to have the audience also get in the same picture, on the same page with all of us, that where you are now, you need to make sure that your audience also be on the same page, on the same shoes where you are standing right now. And think of your speech as a guided journey. Let's say that you are the tour guide and you are the participant of this tour routine. But if you suddenly teleport the audience from one place to another, as a participant, you obviously feel lost, even if that the location that you're currently visiting is beautiful. regardless of the location, regardless of the people, you will feel lost because you don't know where the tour guide takes you, right? This is the same thing when you try to deliver the speech, and if you do not bear in mind about the structure, about the content, about the delivery, trust me, your audience will also get lost as same as you. Okay. Now, about the clear connection between ideas, I'd like to share some three aspects that maybe you can also use. That there's this called the invisible thread concept. You need to believe and you need to understand that every strong speech has an invisible thread. There is one central key message that ties all points together. So even if that you try to come up with a story that has three main points that you'd like to encapsulate all together, those three aspects, those three streamlines always has one point that binds them together that will resemble in your conclusion. So each main point must feel like a natural continuation of the same story. It will not be three distinctive parts that separate those three aspects differently, but you need to try to capture those three points into one. So let me put it this way. So instead of you use the idea, let's say that you have three ideas and you have idea A and you have idea B and you have idea C, but if you do not try to connect them in such a very continuous way, so instead of you have the idea A, unrelated idea B, and some random idea C, you want to make it this way. The first idea leads to the second idea, and then the second idea prepares for the last or the third idea. So you need to carefully select which of the stories that you'd like to pick, because it's not a cherry picking, but what kind of messages that you'd like to intend to deliver, and what kind of story that you'd like to pick, and how what are you going to encapsulate that. You can use the signposting or bridge sentence. Signpostings means that it's like a when you drive on the road and you see the clear posting on the roads, right? And you can use such verbal markers, like for example, first I was like having a roller coaster ride. And next, I see sort of different creatures. And after that, let's move on to something like that, because those phrases orient the audience that, oh, you are currently on this first page and you'd like to move on to the second page. And those verbal markers or signposting help the audience to get them oriented at the same time. And you can also use the bridge sentence, like for example, how you wrapped up the previous idea and introduces the next idea. And like for example, if we try to summarize in a sentence like, yeah, because I am currently here in Green Toastmasters, I now need a break time from other activities, something like that. You need sort of the bridges in order to make the audience also grasp the message clearer. You can also use the preview and recall. The preview means that you tell the audience what's coming, and you need to recall that, remind them what you just covered. This is the connection between ideas. Now, how about the classic structure? We obviously understand about the opening, the body, and also closing. First, about the opening. See, I just used the verbal markers first because I want to direct you, I want to lead you to focus on the opening first. Okay? First, the opening part. The purpose of this opening is to capture attention, to introduce your topic, or to establish credibility. There are some common techniques that you can use, like you can use questions, quote, statistics, story. And next, I would put an example on the slides, like, have you ever heard a great idea and completely missed the point? So I just use the common technique of question. If you'd like to use some statistical data, like for example, recently in Indonesia, more than 50% of our population are dying from hunger, something like that. You put some statistical data to capture the attention of the audience because it will also serve the purpose of the opening. to capture the attention and also to introduce the topic at the same time. Oh, the speaker is telling me about the statistical data in Indonesia about the starvation, something like that. Oh, so the topic will be about maybe the well-being, about the wealth of Indonesian people, for example. Next, we move to the body. Some key principles in the body, it contains factual support that it must be simple and focused. It is not totally fixed that you need and how many items that you put in the body, but to make it more concise and effective, I suggest, and we all suggest, you need to put maximum 3 main points. Because why 3? Why not 4 or 5? Because 3 points are considered to be easy to remember. And it prevents overload, especially on you as the speaker, whether or not what kind of storylines that you'd like to bring on the table and also want the audience to also understand you better. Some structure samples, like the first point, you need to put the logical order, and the second point, you need to put the clear connection between those points, and the last one is the strong conclusion. And this strong conclusion leads to the last part, which is the closing. The closing functions as something that to re-emphasize the main message because it will leave lasting impression for the audience to also remember, oh, from the 5 to 7 minute presentation from the speaker, I remember his or her speech is this. Because this will leave a lasting impression for them to make them as the call to action for them. What kind of message that you want, that you urge also the audience to take an action with regard to your delivery? Some techniques that can be applied is that you can circle back to the opening story, or you can use some powerful quote, some simple one, and also you can challenge the audience. I have conquered my own fear. Are you? Something like that, because you challenge the audience. And with regard to emphasizing the body and also the speech, you can use some illustrated words like examples, stories, or anecdotes. And why illustration works? Because it makes some abstract ideas concrete and it builds emotional connection. You can use, like in Toastmasters, we often see speakers use their own personal experience or some case example, and maybe some of them or few of us use the hypothetical scenario. The most common things we use is the personal experience because first, we don't need to think too hard on it, and it's easy for us to elaborate more on the ideas rather just focus on one main items. And because of that, it will also help us easier to break down and also to narrate the story even better because you can carefully select which of the story that would resonate best with your messages. And my personal tip to all of you is that you don't need to use or to deliver many aspects or many stories. Just one strong story, it will definitely beat 3 weak ones. So why previously I said that you need to carefully select which of the storylines or the items that will resonate you best because one strong story beats 3 weaker ones. Okay. And last thing that after you understand about the opening, about the body, about the closing, about how to put the clear connection between ideas, this is how I put it all together, a simple formula to help you also easier to deliver your speech. So you have the opening. The opening, it consists hook and also the thesis of your speech. And you move up to the body, like you can make up to the 3 points and you put the transitions and some supporting ideas or items that will support the main message as well. And the last part, you do the conclusion, like you restate, you reinforce, or you inspire people who help understand you better. And the re-emphasis on the message, because the organization transforms ideas into impact. If you already deliver such strong conclusion or strong closing statements, but if you do not re-emphasize the message and you do not pay attention into the organization, these ideas will not make a last impact on the audience. And you need to also carefully select and also deliver the call to action for the audience. Because when your structure is clear, your message will also shine. And last but not least, some memorable lines. Like one of the examples that I put it here is that great speeches are not born, but they're built. So those speeches that really encapsulated the best in our minds, they're not born because they are built over time. And over the course of our life, we try to compose and come up with a new structure. And that is a memorable line that we'd like to make the audience feel us better. So that will be all from my sharing about the speech organizations. The first one, you need to bear in mind about the opening. It consists the hook and also the thesis, and you need to bear in mind about the body. One main story beats three weaker ones, so you need to carefully select the body and also the points and also the conclusion. Put a call to action that will make everyone remembers about you. And you need to emphasize that, and you need to put a closing remark as a memorable line. That will be all, and thank you for listening.